You ever have one of those days that starts off totally normal and then it absolutely torpedoes your entire life? Yeah, that was me. The day I responded to a domestic disturbance call and caught my wife cheating on me with someone I never could have imagined. By the way, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? I love seeing where all of you are tuning in from. Anyway, let me walk you through the train wreck that was my life imploding. It was a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays are usually slow in our precinct. The kind of day where you get coffee twice before noon and scroll through your emails hoping for something more exciting than a traffic accident. I was halfway through my lukewarm coffee when the call came in. Possible domestic dispute, elevated voices, unknown number of people inside. The address? A townhouse on 84th and Market. That didn't ring any bells at the time, but boy would it. I was the closest unit, so I radioed in and headed over solo. Standard stuff. I didn't feel the usual tension. Not until I got halfway down the block and realized the address looked familiar. Not just familiar. My stomach dropped. It was my buddy Brian's place. My wife and I had been there for a game night a couple months back. Except Brian had moved out last year, and I hadn't been inside since. Still, I parked, put on the calm and in-control face, and knocked on the door like I'd done 1,000 times. No answer. I knocked again, this time louder, and announced myself. That's when I heard it. A loud crash, a woman yelling something like, "Don't touch me again," and a man yelling back. That was all I needed. I drew my weapon, kicked the door in, and swept the space as I moved in. Adrenaline kicked in. But as I rounded the corner into the living room, the first thing I saw wasn't a weapon. It wasn't an injured person. It was my wife, standing there in nothing but a bedsheet. Behind her was my lieutenant. Let me say that again. My wife, half naked, and behind her, also barely dressed, was my boss. I froze, like my brain short-circuited, the same way your computer acts when you got too many tabs open and it just locks up. My wife's face went pale. She dropped the sheet and scrambled to grab her clothes, muttering, "Oh my God," over and over. And my lieutenant, Captain freaking Jared Martin, just stood there, cool as ever, like getting caught banging one of his officer's wives was a Tuesday kind of thing. I didn't say a word. I holstered my weapon, turned around, and walked out. I didn't even remember to radio in that it was a false alarm. Now here's where it gets really messy, because walking out should have been the end of it, right? But no. Jared, this smug son of a gun, filed a complaint against me for abuse of authority and unlawful entry, like I somehow knew they were together. Let that sink in. He cheated with my wife and then tried to get me suspended. At first, the department brushed it off. I had the call log, I had dispatch records, but then things started getting strange. My shifts got changed suddenly. I got assigned to desk duty. I was pulled off 2 major cases without explanation. Then one morning, I came in and my locker had been emptied out. No warning, just a notice that I was under internal investigation. You want to know what it feels like to give 14 years of your life to a department and have it turn its back on you overnight? Like getting shot without ever seeing the bullet. Meanwhile, my wife, let's just call her Amber, acted like she was the victim. She showed up at my apartment, crying, begging me not to ruin her life, telling me it wasn't serious and that Jared meant nothing. She tried to convince me that she'd only been sleeping with him because she felt lonely when I was on the night shift. I told her she had 15 minutes to get her things before I called the same unit I just got suspended from to escort her out. Now here's where the revenge part begins. I knew Jared had skeletons. Everyone in the department whispered about him. The lavish vacations, the sudden rise through the ranks, his expensive car that didn't match his salary. So I started digging. Nothing official since I was off duty and being watched, but I had friends, people who still believed in me. A rookie in records slipped me a stack of old complaint files. Most were mysteriously closed, but one caught my attention. It was from Carla. Said Jared used his badge to pressure her into dropping charges against his cousin, who just so happened to be a known drug dealer. The complaint was buried under insufficient evidence. Classic cover-up. I reached out to Carla. She was hesitant at first. Said she didn't want to stir things up. But once I told her Jared had tried to ruin my life too, she agreed to talk. On the record. I recorded everything. Then I packaged it with some screenshots I'd managed to recover from Amber's phone. Turns out she was dumb enough to send Jared compromising pictures while he was on duty. I didn't go to IA with it. I went to a reporter, a good one, the kind who lived for a dirty scandal. She ran the story within a week. The fallout? Nuclear. Jared was placed on immediate administrative leave, then suspended. Eventually, he was charged with misconduct and obstruction of justice. His badge was stripped, his pension gone. Amber? She lost that cushy PR job Jared helped her get. And when the story hit the news, her face was everywhere. I moved out of town, started over. Small station, fewer headaches. But I'll never forget the look on Jared's face when they let him out in cuffs, or the way Amber texted me 6 months later saying she was in therapy and wanted to reconnect. I didn't reply, because I'd already started dating someone new, someone real, someone who didn't wait until I was working nights to stab me in the back. You know, they say the badge is supposed to protect and serve, but in my case, it was the thing that almost destroyed me. Almost. Because at the end of the day, I wasn't just a cop. I was a husband, a man, and a fighter. And I wasn't about to let someone like Jared rewrite my story. So yeah, that's how I responded to a domestic disturbance call and ended up walking on my own wife cheating with my captain. What would you have done if you were me? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them all.